Alright, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin, I'd like to give all praise, all glory, all honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of greatness, soul who do rule well. As always, I like to say Shalom unto the elect to repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right, and I wanted to go into this video here, detailing of what is your end lot going into the military, or the destination, of the militaries of the world, right? Specifically Babylon the Great, because them pride themselves on the military, right? They've achieved great feats in their history. Them even being in rulership was due to the military, right? Talks about that in Revelation 13 and verse 4. It's verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. Right? His head that was wounded to death speaks of the Roman Empire falling, and his deadly wound being healed speaks of the Roman Empire being revived through the Renaissance period and embodied through America today. Right? And all the world wondered after the beast. Why? Revelation 20 and verse 4 shall go out to deceive. 20 and verse 8, Salakia. Revelation 20 and verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog. Beautifully going into the video or the topic of the lesson, yes. They're gonna lead to a fight between each other and then turn to fight with Lord. Right? So it's Gog and Magog together, them together, the number of whom as the sand of the sea. Right, so back to Revelation 13 and verse 4. And they worshipped Salakia. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Which is dragon here, if you read the previous chapter. Right, I'm not gonna get into it. You could just look up GMS Revelation, the 12th chapter breakdown. Right? It says, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Salakia, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Right, so the pride themselves on the military might, they've been established in the earth through the military might. Esau Edom getting the blessing of the sword. Genesis 27 and I believe 40. Genesis 27 and verse 40 says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. So through his sword, which is sword representative of weaponry, right? And then weaponry, raiders use it weaponry. It's been a military with weaponry, right? So, and by thy sword, by thy weaponry, by thy military might shalt thou live. That is how they was going to come into power via the sword, right? And the sword has been manifested in many different ways, via deception, because a sword is just a killing instrument, a weapon for torture, a weapon to smite people with, right? Or a weapon, in fact. So lies could be a weapon, deception could be a weapon, right? Feigning itself to be it falls in any deception. This lovable Edomite can do no wrong, and then anybody who's ever made a deal with you have suffered at the hands of that deal. Yeah, that's weaponry. That's a manifestation of their sword. So it says, and it shall come to pass, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right? So from there, Daniel, because Daniel 7 speaks of it as well. The Roman Empire having great iron teeth. It says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast representative of the Roman Empire, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. This great iron teeth representative of the military, we know it devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So now, having established the military, they used the military to go into the four corners of the earth and push their agendas. Right? To take over lands, rape, rob, murder, in MO and Esau, Edom. Right? The military is one part of the MO. Right? If you read Micah, the second chapter, so they covered together. Micah, so like I said, the seventh, so like a second chapter. Micah, the seventh chapter, and Salakia, Micah, the second chapter, and the first verse says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. Scripture talk about the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. Right, and in due time you will set over it one that is profitable. Salakia. It's also stated in Daniel the fourth chapter that thou mayest know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men and set it up over it, even the basis of men. Right? So that power would have to rule it in the earth is not their own. That is even the military might would have is not their own. Daniel the 8th chapter and reading verse 24. Daniel 8 and verse 24. It says, and his power shall be mighty. Right? Because we know they speaks of Antiochus Epiphanes. Do a search in YouTube. Go search in YouTube Daniel the 8th chapter. Breakdown GMS. Get it? Right? But it says this could also be metaphorically representative of Esau Edom as a whole. Because it says, and his power shall be mighty. Right? They have a lot of mighty power within the earth today. Right? The military has been, expanded. Right? Went from swords and shields. Isaiah 9 gives you that account. 9 and 5. The battle of every warrior is fought with. Okay, and then I'll come back here. Isaiah 9, 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Right, so that the military expand, right, from that, or upgraded, let me say it like that, upgraded from that medieval way of warfare of everybody just lying, or that Spartan way of warfare, everybody just lying up spears and swords and shields, and just a man get the how you say, the battle cry, and everybody just charge at each other, right? And who live and who dead. But this shall be with burn, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, right? So the war has, the war has upgraded. Like no men fighting with drones, no men fighting with tanks, no men fighting with rifles, guns, right? But you read Jeremiah, Isaiah 54 and 17, 54 and 16, it says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and it bringeth forth an instrument for his work. I have created the waster to destroy. So the fact that the weaponry has been upgraded, it was all via the Most High, because the Most High intends for all of them to go out in such a violent manner, right? The Most High intends for, you know, they to go out via killing each other off, right? So they need extreme weapons, weapons like sword and shield. You can kill off an entire populace of billions of people with swords and shields. No, you can't do that now. Even Albert Einstein would say it, which this references him and Robert J. Oppenheimer, right? The smith who blow the coals in the fire. The Lord give them the knowledge to make these nuclear weapons, right? To the point where Oppenheimer, I believe, is he the one would have said to that you that quote it out of the Bhagavad Gita and become dead the destroyer of worlds, right? So Musa has given them this knowledge to create weapons of mass destruction, right? WMDs, right? So that is all the Musa is working. As we go see in Daniel, when I go back to Daniel, the 8th chapter and the 24th verse, it says, and his power shall be mighty. So they've been given great power within the earth via the Lord, but not by his own power. You would have seen them coming in that spirit are boasting in their own might. Isaiah the 10th chapter, they believe that they've gained control over the earth or been given control over the earth via the military might, because that's the only thing they have to boast in, right? Of the people that have committed the most war crimes in history and the most violent acts in history, the Edomite man is that man, right? That is what I have to boast in, but that is not via their own strength or their own power. That was given unto them by the Lord. You see here in Isaiah 10 and verse. Okay. Isaiah 10 and 13, it says, for he said, by the strength of my hand have I done it. Which the Assyrians here, right? There is something that was boasted in back in the day that they were the ones that took down Israel and was by their own strength. But prophetically today, that's what Esau Edom is boasting in. So this Assyrian here can metaphorically represent Esau Edom. But it's not your own strength that was given unto you by the Lord. Jude the 5th chapter tells you that. They can't come and war against the nation of Israel if they have no iniquity with their power. But if they have iniquity, if the Lord have iniquity or find iniquity within the nation of Israel, well, yeah, then you could come up and war against the children of Israel. But if not so, it don't matter how much military might you have, it don't matter if you have all the military might in the war and the children of Israel have none. You see that with David and Goliath, all David had was a sling and some stones. Goliath had the shield, the spear, right? He stood a towering man over David, but once David came to him, what will he say? You come to me with shield and spear, but I come to you what? In the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? So once you as an Israelite man believe in them names, scripture make mention of through Yahushai is more than conquerors. Right? So we not boasting in military might. This is what Esau Edom is doing. He's claiming that his rise to fame or his 15 minutes of fame is all due to his own power. No, it's due to the fact that the Lord has given you that. And the Lord punished Nebuchadnezzar for him to know that. And trust me, believe you me, the Lord is going to punish Esau Edom for him to know that. But back to Daniel, the 8th chapter, so I didn't think I'll finish it. And Isaiah 10 and 13, it says, for he said, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom. For I am prudent, I have removed the bounds of people, I have robbed their treasures, I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. Right? And my hand had found a nest, and my hand had found as a nest the riches of the people, and as one gathered eggs that are left, I have gathered all the earth. Which yes, Esau Edom has control over the earth. We're not denying that, but who's giving you that? You haven't gotten that by your own might. And you haven't gotten it by your military might. I'm sure you ain't get it via wisdom, because usually He's the base man. He's the dumbest man of them all, right? Scripture makes mention of you being the dumbest man of them all, right? Job said it. Whose descendants I would have disdained to set, or whose fathers I would have disdained to set with the flocks of my dogs, with the dogs of my flocks, Salakia, right? He's a base man, right? That's why you just resort to violence to get where you have to get within the. Now, we're not saying violence is not a tactic or a useful tactic, or wise men haven't used violence to get what they want, right? But when your whole MO and the whole way in which you determine to get control over the earth is just continual violence, you know he's a base man. Continuing on, that's how animals operate, beasts operate, right? Continuing, it says, and there was none that moved the wing or opened the mouth or peeped, right? Right. Going back to Daniel, the 8th chapter now, 8 and 24, it says, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully. Yes, he shall destroy wonderfully. Right? You destroyed. Nobody has done or shed more blood than you within the year, especially since you came back out of that Renaissance, that 1,000 year period, Revelation 20, in which you were driven forth from among men. Since then, you shed a lot of blood. Continuing, right, and shall prosper and practice and destroy the mighty and the holy people, right? So yeah, we understand now where your strength lies, right, in the military. But what is the Lord planning to do with the militaries of the earth, right? Beginning with Babylon the Great. Zephaniah 3 and verse 9. Right, today's your destiny if you're within our military, if you're joining our military, when the Lord come, right? Right, a lot of people are gonna end up in the military via drafting, carted off into what you call right. If you look at so lucky I trying to remember the name, concentration camps. A lot of people are gonna be carted off there and forced to join the military. It's going to be a big draft for World War III, yeah, in case you know. Right, there's one in the scriptures to back it up here. There's gonna be a World War III, right? Yeah, there's gonna be a World War III according to the scriptures. But World War III is gonna end with one victor, right? As most wars do, right? But World War III is gonna end with one victor. And it's not gonna be anyone who started it, initiated it, or take part in it. It's gonna be the one that ends it, right? A man who has no say. I won't say no say. A man who wasn't there for the duration of the war is gonna win the war. Right, I'm not gonna be like one last participant until last minute and just kills everybody off and they're tired and they're some next rulership. No, World War III ends with the beginning of the kingdom of Zion. Right, so World War III is gonna end with Yahushua coming back and establishing the kingdom. Right. So let me continue here. Zephaniah 3, so I said 9, 3 and 8. So like yeah, Zephaniah 3 and verse 8. It says, therefore wait ye upon me, said the Lord Yahweh Shem Yoshai. So we're not gonna come to this truth, come to this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Yoshai, and then take matters into our own hands. Yeah, we know we's enemies with all the nations that be wrong about us, but we're not gonna go and war them. Because we don't have any might to war them. We have nothing to war them with. And the Lord didn't want us to get up out of here via war in the nations. The Lord wanted us to get up out of here through faith in His Son. John the 3rd chapter tells you that. So we're not going to come here and war anybody. We don't have the means to do so, nor was it the way in which the Lord wanted us to get up out of it. So we have to wait. We are to therefore wait upon the Lord. Said the Lord Yahweh Shem Yoshai, until the day that I rise up to the prey. So these men have such great might and military might within the earth, and the Lord is making mention of them as prey. The Lord is a predator. Regardless of how much strength you have within the earth, you're still a predator and a prey unto the Lord. Right? For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, right? So all the kingdoms of the earth are gonna go to war. The Lord is gathering them, together and they're going to be warring against each other. What's going to happen? The Lord is going to what? To pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. And we know the Lord has poured out the anger upon the inhabitants of the earth. Sodom and Gomorrah experience it. Babylon the Great is going to experience it. It's stated in Nahum 1 and 6, for my anger is poured out like fire, or my fury is poured out like fire. Right? So the Lord is going to gather all the nations of the earth together who's warring, right, at that time, because Peru is not, going to be in that war. Who else not going to be in that war? Every single nation in the earth is not going to be in the war, but the major players, the major players going to be the NATO, the EU, Babylon, which is America, the State of Israel, the small hats, the Amalekites today, Russia, who's going to spearhead the war, the nations against Israel and America. Who else? China, Ammon. No, China is Moab, Salakia, Moab, and Japan, Ammon, South Korea, all of the major players in one. Then some of the ones who being backed by the major players, Iran, Brazil, who else in BRICS? India, South Africa. There are a lot of other members in BRICS as well seeking, to be defended by the Russians, right? She's seen the Lord gather in all of these nations together, as I mentioned, right? The BRICS and the NATO and the EU gonna side to take down Babylon the Great, America, and the State of Israel, right? You see that in um 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 so like I lost my train of thought. It was I believe I was going to Ezekiel 38. Oh no, the big saying they're strong, right? But all of these nations gonna gather together to Salakia, I remember where I was going. To go to the least of the flock join them out to war. Jeremiah 49 and 20, is it? Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh Shai that he had taken against Edom. And his purpose is that he had purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, which the least of the flock represents the Amalekites, shall draw them out, shall bring them out to war. You see, America getting involved in business that they have no business being involved in, all to aid the state of Israel today. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Right, so them that you see, that is one side of the war, one part of the people on the war. Babylonians, Babylon, America the Great. Oh, America, Babylon the Great, and the state of Israel are gonna war all these other nations within the earth. Right, spearheaded by Russia. You see that in Ezekiel the 38th chapter. Ezekiel 38 and verse 1. No, where is it? 38 and 7, right? Which I start at 2, then jump down to 7. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus said the Lord Yahweh Shai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, which is references Russia. Going to that word there, chief prince in the Hebrew. Chief goes into the word Ra'ash, and prince is Shah. So Ra'asha is how you would say Russia in the Hebrew. It says, verse 4, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And there's get that in where is it? Hooks into thy jaws is the bridle animals, it's a guide animals, cause them to do your will. Some bridle, what is it? Sam said it, but I think I just remembered one in Sarak Titi. Oh, no, another one. Yeah. Bridal. Psalms. Where is it? Oh, Salak was actually Proverbs. Proverbs 26:3. It says, a whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Right? So a bridle is what they would put in a, or is it bit? I believe it's bit in the Psalms. Bear with me for a minute here. Right. Psalms 32:9. It says, be not as a horse or as a mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with a bit and bridle, lest they come near unto thee. So this is what they use to guide and to cause animals, beasts to do thy will. Right? So when he says he put hooks into their jaws, it's for what? It's for the Russians to go forth and do the will of the Lord. Because I believe later in this verse it makes mentions of in thee, O Gog. If it's not this one, it's here. Let me see. Where is it? Is it? In thee, Gog, will I be sunk. So it's Ezekiel 38:16. It says, and thou shalt come up against my people Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. Right, so the Lord is going to cause the Russians to do their will. And we know how the Lord does work. He does send angels to seal the instruction in your mind the night before for you to go forth and do what the Lord wants to do tomorrow. Right? So if you read here, it says that in Isaiah 13, that what? An evil thought shall come up in the minds of the kings of the Medes. The kings of the Medes also references the Russians. Oh no, it's not here. An evil thought. I think it's in the very same Ezekiel 38 chapter. Bear with me. Right, verse 10. Right, I'll go back up. Verse 4. It says, and I will bring thee. I'm starting over Salah. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, right, to control you to do my will. And I will bring thee forth. It's also mentioned in Revelation 17:17. The Lord hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of power be fulfilled. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, right? Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets, with Persia references who the Iranians today, right? Ethiopia and Libya, all of these countries in league with Russia, with Gog and Magog, Goma and all his bands, the house of Togama, which Goma goes back to Turkey, of the North Quarters, all his bands and many people which Turkey has been historically on the fence. They've been siding with NATO, they've been siding with Russia, but pursuing to prophecy, the final confederacy Turkey would have would be with the Russians, right? Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right? So you're not gonna It's going to be a war, a bloodbath, which the Lord gathering all of these nations together to go where? Into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Joel 3 and verse is 3 and 12. It says, let the heathen be wakened. I'm go from 9. Joel 3 from 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. So beat agricultural instruments into weapons of war. So focus, don't go to forward your nation, don't go to sustain your nation through agriculture or any other means. What you're going to do is you're going to go and put all your nation's resources into war. That is what you're doing. It says, assemble yourselves. So I can finish, verse 10, let the weak say, I am strong. So every nation is doing it. Weak nation, strong nation. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Let the heathen be wakened, come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Which, let me see, in the part of the utmost sea. Part. Right. So this here details or let you know where this war is going to take place, where the war is going to take place is Jehoshaphat or Yahweh Shaphat, right? Yahweh's judgment, the place in which the Lord is going to pour upon all the nations of the earth his fierce indignation, right? So, Joel 2:20, it says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part towards the utmost sea, which the east sea, just so get a map, because the apostles, right, this place is land barren and desolate is the Levant, but New Action, I see what I see. Yeah. Which bodies of water? Bodies of water surround the Levant. Show map. Right. Continuing here. See this. Wow. It's Saudi Arabia. But I thought they might have give you names. Which me Salakia. I was aiming to what we did hope Gemini would I do was well, we could have asked the question better, but I wanted to highlight the Euphrates River, which is the East Sea, and the Red Sea, which is the utmost sea surrounding this area of land here, the Arabian Desert, right? Because this is the area, dry land, in which the Lord gonna carry all of the nations of the earth together to do battle here. He even speaks about that in Revelation, in which he's gonna dry up the way of the Euphrates River, or dry up the Euphrates River, which Salak, I'm gonna point it out. I'm gonna see if I get a better map. Yeah. You see the Syrian desert, right? You highlight the Euphrates River, the Red Sea, and in the middle here is where they're gonna do battle. Yeah. Right. But when they go now to Revelation 16, where is it? Revelation 16 and 12, it says, and the sixth angel poured his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that what the way of the kings of the east might be prepared for them to do what? To go to war. Right? Salakia. Right? But what gonna take place with all of them, right? Yeah, the Lord gonna use the Russians to end America, Babylon the Great. You get that in 2nd Ezra 11 and verse 39. It says, "And not thou it that remainest of the four beasts whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them," which what? They're gonna come through the Russians, because the Russians is also Edomites, and how we're gonna come? Via nuclear destruction. Right, we see now the Russians have access to all these WMDs, these nuclear missiles, these hypersonic missiles, right? That is how the Lord intends to bring an end to Babylon the Great, which I'm gonna shoot missiles from Russia, and they're gonna reach Babylon the Great, right? You see that in Joel the 2nd chapter. Joel 2, and I'll read from 7. It says, "They shall run like mighty men." Speaks of the missiles, the nuclear missiles. "They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his way. They shall not break their ranks." So the intended target that the Lord has, or the intended purpose that the Lord has for these missiles, they're going to accomplish it. Right? It says, "Neither shall one trust another." So they're not going to blow up midway in the air. Right? Which is could that be a likely possible scenario if it wasn't for the Lord, this being the purpose of the Lord. Why? Because it's 200 million missiles going to reach from all over the world to hit Babylon. It says, "They shall not break their ranks, neither shall one trust another." So they're not going to touch each other and blow up midair. "They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, they shall run up the walls, they shall climb up upon the houses, they shall enter in at the windows like a thief." All metaphoric and parabolic talk to say they're going to accomplish that which they have to do, right, which is destroy Babylon. But then, right, if the missiles doing the destruction of Babylon, what's going to happen to all the armies that gathered together in the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? Let's get at the astonishment. This is the New Testament. Right. 2nd Ezra 13 and 33 come back to this, but it says, Second Ezra 13 and 30, it says, "He shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth." So if you ever notice, right, if you ever watch most of these movies, you would have seen it in if you would have watched certain movies like War of the Worlds, or any movies in which they claim they're facing a extraterrestrial threat, right, you would often see the astonishment, right? Even if you would watch at the beginning of War of the Worlds, the way in which the so-called extraterrestrial beings would have yeah, you would often see in them movies, right, is astonishment, the people, and yeah, you would often see these people would be met with astonishment, right? They would often you see just what you go at the Wars movie, and I would see the the extraterrestrial forces which came, which represented by our shiny angels, came in a world when literally biblical, right? Isaiah 65, Lord, behold the Lord cometh, or is it Isaiah 66? So look here. Isaiah 66 and 15, it says, for behold, the Lord Yahweh Shai will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, and that was literally the visual you get in the War of the Worlds movie, was a whirlwind it came in, right? Often, even in the movie you saw the manipulation of the elements in which the wind was blowing away from the storm, right? So I just see to show you some small level of power in which the Lord will have. But he coming with all power. The Lord about to be able to control every single thing when it comes. Time, space, matter. Right? Gonna be able to freeze time, gonna be able to cause a wind to blow away from the storm, gonna be able to manipulate matter. This is the force and power the Lord coming with, right? And you would have see the lightning strikes, right? Right, symbolic I will share with Matthew the 24th chapter. For the lightning coming onto the east and shining even onto the west, which you would have seen the movie from various places around Babylon, they saw that lightning strike. Right? The son who ran away from his father, he said he saw the lightning strike, and his father saw it when they were in nowhere near proximity unto each other. Everyone saw the coming, as everyone will see the coming of the Lord. Right? So continuing here, it says to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. So it's destruction these militaries coming to meet when Yahweh shall come back. Right? See that in Revelation, the 19th chapter. So like Revelation 19 and verse verse 11. From verse 11. GT, the vision of Yahweh shall break in the skies and coming into the earth's atmosphere. Right? It's a war coming to meet an end immediately. It says, and I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Right? So these who coming back and visually coming back to me nations warring and coming to end that war, stop all that shit. Right, that way gathering them all into one place. Right. So gonna make this like a part one, then part two, because then I wanna get the visual of the army, or what you could expect to be a part of the military. The end state and the military in terms of you're coming back to stop that fight which you have with each other to war Yahweh Shai, and then some of you are going to be carried off into the military just to die. Right? So, Lord will this video was edifying, and that you all were edified. In closing, I to say, Kal Halal Yomla Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Macha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great mercy who do well. And as always, I like to say, Shalom unto the elect. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.